Greetings, dear friends. It's gospel broadcast time again. Here I sat in my office talking to people all the way around the world. I've always prayed that the Lord let me go to the ends of the earth with a message, and I can do it right here from my office on computers. Tell other people to turn to our web page and pick up this message. I come out with a new one every day except Saturday and Sunday. But you can even pick up the message on Saturday and Sunday. Tune us in. Become a part of this lively world of people. A world full of them that have made Christ to be their all in all. You'll be glad you did it. I'm going to talk to you today out of the book of Philippians. And I'm in the 4th chapter of Philippians. And I hear Paul saying this in the 17th verse, "Not because I desire gift, but I desire fruit that you may abound to your account." Fruit that may abound to your account. What he says here is, he's not looking for offerings. Most men of God don't. Most men of God don't spend their time raising money. Most men of God trust God. It's been amazing in our generation that so many preach faith and didn't live it. They didn't live it. They kept begging for money to get ahead, to be somebody, to be rich. But the Apostle Paul says here, "Not because I desire a gift, but I desire fruit that may abound to your account." He said, I desire mostly that you bear fruit. How can we bear fruit? We have Christ in us. You have Christ in us. You remember the 15th chapter of John where he talks about the vine and the branches? That's a powerful story. The vine is Jesus. The branches are the believer. The fruit is borne by the vine. It has the life. It pushes the life to the branch, to the fruit. The branch does not bear and produce the fruit. It just holds on to it. It's an outer appearance. The branch can do nothing within itself, because if it's not attached to the vine, it can't produce fruit. So Paul leads us into this wonderful message of our fruit bearing. Our fruit bearing. He says, I'm praying for you here that you should abound in fruit. I desire that fruit be what you produce. Where do you get the fruit now? As I said, the vine is Christ. If Christ lives in you, you get the fruit from the Christ that lives in you. Isn't that simple? If you don't have Christ in you, you're not bearing fruit that'll help anybody. If you don't know Christ lives in you and He's still there, you're not going to help anybody until there's a revelation to you that Christ lives in you. What do we have in the world today? In our Christian world today, we've got so many offshoots and so many sidetracks and so many unbelieving ideas contrary to Jesus, contrary to Paul's message, which is plainly written. And the world, as a result of Christians not producing the works of Christ in them, the world has not had the true gospel. In a sense, I could say that the average Christian has a tremendous responsibility because the Christian comes out of the Scriptures. There's a whole lot of people in religion that don't come out of the Scriptures, but they do a lot of scriptural things. But a Christian, a born-again Christian, comes out of the Scriptures. That's where they're written. That's why you need to know the difference between the vine and the branch. The branch is what we see. The branch is what gets the money, let's say. That was the first thought here in this verse. But he said, I desire for you that you bear fruit. Not that we get money, but that you bear from fruit. If you bear fruit, then people have something good. You've given them something good. If you give them something that's good, they'll return it in love. They too will bear fruit and will give back to you. So he says, I desire is that you may abound in this understanding. Let's go to the next verse. Verse 18 of Philippians 4 says, but I have all and abound. I have all. When's the last time you heard an evangelist make the statement, I already have it all? Why, he said that'd cut off the flow of money. How did he expect me to stay in God's work if the people don't give? See, he missed the Scriptures. He's not in the Scriptures. He doesn't understand the Scriptures and the attitude of Paul, who is the leader that we follow. He doesn't understand it. He thinks unless he raises an offering, he's not appreciated. He thinks that until he makes the amount of money he thinks he's worthy of, he's going to rebuke the people. I've heard rebukes all during my life from preachers who say you're not doing right. The people only bear the fruit of Christ. Ministries are only the fruit of Christ. Healing the sick, casting out devils, raising the dead, and all those things are the fruit of Christ in you. The gifts of the Spirit are the ministries of Christ. He lives in you. Do you think that he's going to live in you and you still run your life in your ragged way? No. He'll just sit down in a chair and wait on you to call on him, to find out about him, to learn Christ. You have to learn him. He's inside of you and you don't know how to use him. So you have to learn to use the Christ that lives in you. The verse says, here I have it all and abound. Why can't we say that in ministries today? I have it all and I abound. You know why? You know why it can't be said is because men do not have a message from the Christ that lives in them. You see, I could never say Christ didn't live in them. I could say he's not used by them. He's still there. He lives in them and wants to get out of them. He's knocking on their heart's door to get out of them, to where people need him as you. But you know what? They want to be paid for it. I look back over my life, and I wonder what happened to all hundreds of young men that I had in meetings and that I taught in colleges. Whatever happened to them? Some of them were successful. Some of them were not. But all of them had Christ in them. What kind of story is that? Can you envision that kind of story? You got a church over here that's in trouble. They're trying to vote out a preacher and they're trying to raise money for this and that. How do you think the Christ that lives in them feels about all the ruckus they're going through? Here Paul says in Philippians 4:18, I have all and abound. I'm full, and having received of Epaphroditus the things which were sent from you, an odor of a sweet smell, a sacrifice acceptable, well-pleasing to God. What had happened to him in this case? Epaphroditus had brought him an offering, had brought him some fruit, concerned with his welfare. Paul said, I have it all, but others cared for him. I think we've gotten away from being members of his body. I think we've gotten away that we're in his body, but he's the head. Nobody in the body is the head. They're in the body, but they're not the head. They're not the head. The head is Jesus Christ. Look at the various things Paul has to say in this 18th verse. I have it all, and I abound in it. I'm full. I have received of Epaphroditus the things which were sent from you. I guess he's talking about the church at Philippi. What you have sent to me is an odor, he says, of a sweet smell, a sacrifice acceptable, well-pleasing to God. That's showing forth Christ. That's letting the Christ that lives in we human beings come forth. We care one for another. I know people who do good things for all the people they can possibly reach, but it isn't Christ. They do it through the mind outside. They say, well, I got the money, I'm going to give it here. I've got the talent, I'm going to use it here. I'm going to bless the people here. That's outside. But inside they have Christ. They have Jesus Christ. He's their life, not their mind. He's their life. It'd be great if Christ's mind was in every believer, but that's not quite so. Paul said, we have available to us the mind of Christ. You know what? Until you see Jesus as your life, until he comes out of you, you have little to give the world. You may be given more than you ever dreamt. But you know what? If it isn't Christ you give, if he's not the vine producing the fruit through you, your fruit is no good. And Paul says here, you are an odor of a sweet smell, a sacrifice acceptable. I gotta go. God love you. Been good to be with you today. God bless you.